ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम ध्यायामि चिन्मयानन्दं गुरुदेवं महामतिं प्रेमपूर्णं क्रियाशीलं सदा लोकहिते रतं कृपालुं सुन्दराकारं समर्थं सत्यदर्शिनं वाचा तत्त्वप्रकाशिन्या शोकमोहविनाशिनम्। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम नमो नारायणाय। 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 ओम ऋतगं सत्यं परं ब्रह्म पुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् ऊर्ध्वरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः। ओम नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुः प्रचोदयात्। हरि ओम, सुप्रभातम. A very warm welcome to all of you for this 7th series of Vishnu Sahasranama. As always, we will go with the Dhyana Shlokas. Om Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannabadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभांगं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिहृद्ध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम्। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We have completed up to the 20th shloka. We will chant from the 18th and continue further. ओम वेद्यनारायणं वेद्यो वैद्यः सदा योगी वीरः माधवो मधुः अतीन्द्रियो महामायो महोत्साहो महाबलः महाबुद्धिर्महावीर्यो महाशक्तिर्महाद्युतिः अनिर्देश्य वपुः श्रीमान् अमेयात्मा महादृधृक् महेश्वासो महीभर्ता श्रीनिवासः सताङ्गतिः अनिरुद्धः सुरानन्दो गोविन्दो गोविदाम्पतिः. Till here we have completed in the previous series. Further, मरीचिर्दमनो हंसः सुपर्णो भुजगोत्तमः हिरण्यनाभः सुतपाः पद्मनाभः प्रजापतिः. मरीचिर्दमनो हंसः सुपर्णो भुजगोत्तमः हिरण्यनाभः सुतपाः पद्मनाभः प्रजापतिः. We have about nine namas here. We will see them. Marichihi. What is Marichihi? Tejasvinamapi tejastvat Marichihi. The one who outshines even the most effulgent. For the simple reason, he is self-effulgent one, and all other than Parabrahma Swarupa Paramatma Ishvara, other than Ishvara, anything else draws power from the Ishvara itself. There is no other source. That is the ultimate source. That is why he is self-effulgent. He doesn't require a source, but anything other than him cannot function on their own, and therefore they need a source for their brilliance, and that source itself is Bhagavan. Any gadget in the house requires the main power. Is it not? However powerful the gadget may be, it requires the power from the main source, from the grid. And the grid definitely must be much beyond the capacity of all the gadgets that are there in the home. Is it not? Similarly, if that is the case with a small house itself, what to talk of the whole universe? The whole universe draws that power, that brilliance from Bhagavan. Therefore, Bhagavan must be much, much higher. In fact, Bhagavan is all source. Bhagavan is all the effulgence. Therefore, he is called as Marichihi. Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tejas Tejasvinamaham. There are so many places in Bhagavad Gita you will find that this thought is put in so many different words. Here he says, I am the brilliance in the brilliant people. If you call somebody very, very brilliant, this we have discussed earlier also. Einstein had claimed that he had used only 7% of his brilliance. If such a great scientist called Einstein, if he can say that he has used only 7%, we all must be using probably minus 17% or 70%. Think. Therefore, that brilliance in the most brilliant people is nothing but the presence of Bhagavan. Tejasvinam Tejasvi. Again, another shloka in the Bhagavad Gita, Jyotisham apita jyotihi tamasaf paramuchyate jnanam nyeyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya vishtitam. He is very beautifully concluding this shloka saying, Hridi sarvasya vishtitam. He is that very presence, he is that very jyoti, he is that enlivening principle, he is that Paramatma in every hridi, in the heart of everyone. How many times we have heard from our parents, from our elders, from our teachers and everybody that where is Bhagavan? He is very much in my own heart. Hridaya kughara madhye kevalam brahma matram aham aham ahamiti sakshat atma rupena bhati, says Ramana Maharshi. Then in that source is that main source which is Parabrahma Swarupa, and he is Jyotishamapi Tad Jyotihi. When you put all the Jyotish put together, the brilliance, the light put together, he is much brilliant than that. Tamasah Paramuchyate. And who is he? Jnanam. He is the very knowledge. He is Jneyam. He is the one who is to be known, the knowable Vastu. And Jnana Gamnyam. And he is the one who is known by all those Mahatmas who have reached the Supreme. Therefore, he is called as Marichihi. The next Nama is Damanaha. This 190th Nama is beautifully explained by Shankara. Swadhikarat pramadyatihi prajaha damayitum shilam yasya vaivasvatadi rupena iti damanaha. Damanaha is the one who subdues those people who go away from their duty, who fall outside the main track of their swadharma. Why is it so? In fact, very many times when people just casually listen to such talks, when people don't give much attention to these talks, or when people just open up one portion, like this video, YouTube is a very deceptive many times. Sometimes, not all the way, all the time. Sometimes, why? Because people keep on opening YouTubes. Normally, when sitting somewhere or what, traveling somewhere, they open their mobile, open YouTube, and just go on. Even the TV also, keep on changing channels. When they do that, what happens? At that particular time, one particular frame of activity happens, people decide based on that frame. People decide on some statements, not knowing its real import. Here also you will find Damanaha Swa Adhikarat Pramadyatihi Prajaha. What is this Pramadyatihi Prajaha? It says he punishes people. Immediately people jump to conclusions. That means Bhagavan also punishes people. How is Bhagavan different from any other government or law or something like that? Therefore, I don't have faith in Bhagavan. People jump to such conclusions when they don't understand the truth behind. Most important, in any field of knowledge, be it sacred or secular, or even with reference to one's own family, one's own people, one's own society, one should never jump to conclusions. Because very many times what we see can be deceptive, what we hear can be deceptive, what we feel can be more deceptive. It cannot give us the right knowledge when we have not understood the right with the right perspective. Here, when it is said Bhagavan punishes, we must understand the import and read properly. Prajaha damayitum. Those people who deviate from their swadharma and who cause pain to others, who cause pain to the people around, and such people will be punished. And why should Bhagavan punish? Like any mother or father punishes the children for the sake of the good of the children. The children must come out of certain bad habits. The children must turn properly towards good. They must get the right knowledge, right understanding, etc., etc. The father or mother sometimes punish them. They beat them. Does it mean father and mothers, they beat? Therefore, so many children unknowingly, what is the real attitude behind this punishment given by the parents? They run away from the house and they suffer most of the time. And there are some people, after suffering, they understand the real love of the parents. They come back also. Some people don't come back because they don't understand the love behind the punishment. Bhagavan also is like that. Bhagavan, when it is said pramadyati, it doesn't mean that he punishes because he has an aversion towards us. It does not mean he has got wrong attitude towards us. He is never angry as such. But he punishes for the sake of our own good. Therefore, we must also understand he is also present in the form of grace. The punishment is also a grace or blessing from Bhagavan. We have to understand it rightly. Therefore, because he punishes for the wrongdoing, he is called as Damanaha. The next word is, or rather name is Hamsaha. Hamsaha is a masculine word. But because we see in the world lot of people, Hamsa is a very common feminine word. But Hamsaha is a masculine word. This many people don't know. What is Hamsaha? Aham Saha. Aham I Saha Paramatma iti Tadatmya Bhavinaha, who understand the true meaning of the caption Aham Saha, or it may be put on the other way, Ham Saha. And Tadatmya Bhavinaha, who are they? Samsara Bhayam, people who are having the fear of samsara. Bhagavan destroys, Hanti. What does he kill? What does he kill? He kills, he destroys the samsara bhaya, the fear of samsara, in whom? Those who understand, who gain the knowledge, who get the right vision of this word, Aham Saha. I am him only. How many times I have quoted this wonderful statement of Hanumanji. Deha bhavat aham dasaha. Jiva bhavat tvad amshakaha. Atma bhavat tvamevaham. When I identify myself with the Atma, I and you are one and the same. Aham saha eva. I am that Supreme alone. This has to be understood. At the first stage, one must understand it at the verbal level, then at the intellectual level, and then comes the experience. That anubhava will take lot of time, but at the outset we must be convinced even intellectually first. Right? So many explanations are given. Subject, object, relationship. This subject can never become the object, says science. The object can never become the subject. But it is only Vedanta which says that which you have considered as object till now, the me, this entity, is that supreme. When I say this entity, it is not the Sharira Mana Buddhi. It is that real me which is nothing other than that supreme. That is why when we tell the children, where is Bhagavan? Bhagavan is in me only. In fact, it is me. But to gain that knowledge that I am Bhagavan, I am that supreme, from which standpoint? From the enlivening standpoint. And the one who understands that, for him there is no more fear. Abhayam pratishtham mindate, bhayam gataha bhavati, says Upanishad. For such people, what is this bhayam? Samsara bhayam. What is samsara? The cycle of birth and death. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, tasya na vidyate. For him, it no more exists. Such a person is called Hamsaha, and that is the very name of Bhagavan. Gacchati sarva sharireshu iti va Hamsaha. Another meaning Acharya gives, he moves in sarva sharireshu. Sarva sharireshu mean what? In all the enlivening bodies, in creatures, Bhagavan moves. Now this is a very interesting word. How can Bhagavan move? Moves here is in the form of being, and when I move from one sharira to other sharira, from one subtle body to other subtle body, he also as though, this as though should be understood very clearly, as though he also moves from one sharira to other sharira. In fact, he cannot move because he is sarva vyapaka vastu. But from our limited mind, no, we have to understand it that way. When I drop this body and take to another sharira, Bhagavan also comes there. It is not that if I die, Bhagavan also goes away. Bhagavan also enters into all the shariras. Tat srishtva tadeva anupravishat. He enters, meaning it is a figurative expression for our limited mind to understand. That's all. Hence he is called as Hamsaha. Hamsaha Shuchishat. Shuchishat means pure, quiet, clean. And Hamsaha is the one who dwells in a clean place. What is this clean place? There is one Acharya who describes it as heaven. There are other people who describe as a very clean place. But it also means a clean heart. A heart which is out of all the Shadvairinaha. What is that? The identification with Shat Vikaratvam, at the same time the one who is away from Kama Krodadhi Shadvairinaha. All those, beyond all of them is that Parabrahma Swarupa, and the one who has kept his heart clean without Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. In that heart, Bhagavan dwells and blesses all of us. Therefore, Hamsaha Shuchishat, he revels in the clean place. This is the statement from Kathopanishad. Continuing. Suparnaha. Parnaha means wings, which indicate a bird. Isn't it? This is a very interesting point. You will find Bhagavan Sriman Narayana has taken 10 avatars and he has not missed any kind of species. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. It is to indicate that in every creature Bhagavan alone is. Here Suparnaha is the one which has two wings, beautiful wings. How does Acharya explain? Shobhena Parnatvat Suparnaha. Shobhena Parnatvat. The one who has Shobhana Parnas. Parnas, wings. Beautiful shining feathers and wings is called Suparnaha. Here, as I have made a mention, all birds are also Bhagavan. In fact, everything is Bhagavan only, expressing himself in various species. Shobhena Parnatvat. We have this beautiful, great, oft-quoted mantra from the Mundakopanishad. Dvasuparna Sayuja Sakhaya Samanam Vriksham Parishashvajate. In that particular branch of the tree, these two Suparna, Pakshi, bird, two Suparnas, two birds are sitting, and he expresses so beautifully. In the same branch there are two. In the same branch, two meaning what? One is vigorously eating the fruit of the tree. The other one is from a distance watching, witnessing as a sakshi. Both are birds, similar birds, but one is very much into action, very much into fruits of action, very much into the samsara, while the other one as a witness, watches the other person being totally engrossed in samsara, whereas this Pakshi is only a witness, sakshi. And for that, this one taken is Dvasuparna, two beautiful birds with beautiful wings. Of course, there's a lot of other meaning going into it, but now we are dealing with Vishnu Sahasranama, therefore I am not going much deep into that mantra. The next one, again, it's an indication of Bhagavan living in every creature, even those creatures whom we are scared of. Even those creatures who bring pain and suffering to people, even in them Bhagavan is there. Look at this Nama, Bhujagottamaha. Bhuja means, we know Bhuja is shoulder, but here Bhuja means that which is curved. And Bhujaga means that which moves in a curved way, indicating snakes. Uttamaha means the Shrestha in the snake species, which indicates Ananta. Ananta Shayana Bhagavan is called. Ananta Shayana meaning what? Ananta is the snake which is the Uttama, the greatest snake. Bhujena Gacchatam Uttamaha Bhujagottamaha, the best among the snakes that move in a curved path. Here Ananta Shayana is indicated. He is also Bhagavan only. Alright. Anantaschasmi Naganam, Bhagavan has indicated in the Bhagavad Gita in the 10th chapter, Anantaschasmi, I am that Ananta among the Nagas, meaning Ananta is the greatest, Uttamottama among the Nagas, and Bhagavan says, I am that Ananta. And he indicates again and again, I am there, I am there, I am there. Why should he indicate? For people like us to understand, Bhagavan is there all the time. We don't have to worry. Name bhaktah pranashyati. He indicates the same thought in so many ways. One of the ways is every jiva rashi, I am there, not to worry. The 194th Nama says Hiranyanabha. What is that Hiranyanabha? Hiranyamiva Kalyani Nabhihi Yasaiti Hiranyanabha. The one who supports the Hiranyagarbha. Who is Hiranyagarbha? Creator. And the one who supports through his Nabhi. We have seen the picture that from his Nabhi comes the lotus, and in that lotus sits the Creator. Therefore, his navel is called Hiranyagarbha. Garbha is why? Because it holds that Creator. Alright, Hiranyagarbha. Sutapaha, another wonderful Nama. And this Nama is very much, fit for meditation. Why meditation? We will see. Shobhanam tapas yasya saha sutapaha. The one who performs great tapas. Tapas word we have earlier also dealt. Tapas always implies, I have given the meaning here, a certain sacrifice. Sacrifice here does not mean homa havana ityadi karma. Sacrifice is an ability to let go. Please think, an ability to let go of things which I love most. They go to Kashi and leave many things and come one patram, one pushpam, one phalam, and one even vegetable we have to give up and come. So people go there and give up all which they don't like. Think, that is not what, there is nothing called giving up. Why? I have never taken it to myself. If I am a person who doesn't like Karela and I don't eat Karela at all, then where is the question of giving up? I have never taken it. Is it not? Sacrifice is that when I give that which I love most. I give away One is give away, another one is give up. There are two ways of looking at it. Give away meaning what? Let us suppose I have a very beautiful, anything you can call, let us suppose I have great love for this clock. Very little, very sweet, very clear clock I have here. And I am very fond of that and I use it very much in all my talks and things like that. If I fall in love with that clock as an object and get attached to the clock, then I am in trouble. If the clock falls down and breaks, or if somebody steals away the clock, or if it stops functioning, then I become disturbed. I become agitated. Is it not? Because of my raga towards the clock. Sacrifice, when it is said, it is what? That which I have lot of raga in anything, I volunteer to give that particular object or something. In the sense, now please note, in the sense, I must give up the raga for that thing. I need not give up the thing by itself. The thing can be around with me. There are so many people whom we love. Oh, you are going, I miss you, I'll miss you. All that we say. 3 days, 4 days, then they don't even remember that such a person existed in this globe. Think. We have to celebrate. The government has to forcefully celebrate one Gandhi Jayanti for us to remember a person called Gandhi who was walking in this globe. Think. Do you understand? We don't remember anything because we are ready to forget everything. And our mind constantly keeps changing to attach itself with newer objects, and the older objects are just forgotten. Therefore, there is nothing called anything being permanent with us. When this is understood, giving up that so-called dearest thing is very simple. And it must come voluntarily. It must come voluntarily, meaning what? I must consciously take it and give it up. Why should I consciously take it and give it up? Because it is disturbing my mind from the path of Shreyas. Anything. It can be a very small thing, as small as this clock, or it can be any big thing also. It can be house, it can be position, it can be possession, it can be people. Everything are nothing but a source of suffering. Therefore, Acharya here very beautifully says, give up. What is giving up? Completely giving up the ownership and enjoyership of everything. Think. It is not so easy. People are attached to good things. And they administer those thoughts to others also. Vedanta can be a terrible disaster. Think. Vedanta can be a terrible disaster if it is not understood in the right perspective. There are so many people who are attached to Vedanta. Think. What does the Vedanta say? Tyage naike amritattvamanashuhu. Tyagena eke amritattvamanashuhu. And such statements, very fanciful, very high sounding statements, and then people don't understand Vedanta in the simplest form. They want all complicated words, high funda words, and then quote from here, quote from there. That Upanishad says so, this Prakarana Grantha says so, Manusmriti says like this, and Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, oh Rama, 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 Rama. Think. Even that is attachment. So don't think one clock only is an attachment, or one person is an attachment, or one car, or a house, or a bank balance. No. One can get attached to Vedanta which says detach yourself. I keep telling, in my earlier place where I was serving, every 3 years I used to change my place. I used to take a transfer. 2.5 years, 2 years and 9 months I used to start ringing the bell. to my superior, Swamiji, 3 years is getting over. Where am I going next? Next. Because of me, they had to transfer so many people, because wherever I go, that person has to be transferred. So like that, there are a lot of transfers. Why? Because every 3 years when I get transferred, then it is a newer place, newer people. And the older people who, sannyasis go and tell people, don't get attached, detach yourself. And they get first attached to the sannyasi also. Sannyasi also is no less. Think. Attachment happens everywhere. Here, Sutapaha, the tapascharya is what? To sacrifice. Sacrifice what? This raga. Raga includes everything else. Raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. All of them are included in one particular word, tapas. All of them needs to be given. So, certain sacrifice, certain pain, endurance, forbearance, one has to have. That is the greatest tapas. Think, sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam satitiksha nigadyate. That titiksha is tapas. So many of us don't have any, even a smallest degree of forbearance, smallest degree of patience we don't have. But to gain that supreme, one must have extreme patience. That comes only through tapas. Therefore, enduring pain, certain restraints, mind for what it is. Bhagavad Gita says, Bahunam Janmanam, that vasanas which we have created over lives and lives, the pressure of the vasanas is so strong that we fall prey. But one must exercise restraint. Very beautifully said. One need not deny. Every acharya keeps telling, you need not deny anything, but you can have a restraint in everything. Moderation in everything, including moderation, is tapas. So, Sutapaha here refers to that beautiful value, that beautiful virtue to have complete control, mastery over our own senses and our own mind and intellect. The one who has this ability is called Sutapaha. And Bhagavan is Sutapaha because he has total control. In fact, he is beyond mind and intellect. Therefore, he blesses all those who have such wonderful virtue. Therefore, he is called Sutapaha. Manasascha indriyanam chahi ekagryam paramam tapaha. The greatest tapas is to bring together, integrate our own mind and senses. Integrate meaning what? Mind wants something, senses demand something, intellect has no power at all to come between and make them understand what is right and what is wrong. Think. To bring all of them together into one pointedness, aikagryam, is paramam tapaha. It is greatest tapas, says Acharya. Next, beautiful nama, Padmanabha. Padmanabha, again we have seen, Padmamiva suvartulanabhihi asyeti Padmanabha. His nabhi, his navel. Now when we say nabhihi, navel, normally we think of our nabhi. But what does that nabhi indicates? It indicates the hub of a personality. And the whole universe moves around the hub. And in this case, Padmanabhi refers to that Parabrahma Swarupa. With he as the center, the whole universe revolves around this Parabrahma Swarupa, and it is of the nature of lotus. Why always lotus? Because lotus doesn't hold anything. Lotus never owns anything. Lotus never gets attached to anything. This ability to keep ourselves detached is beautifully indicated by this word Padmanabha. Right? This is a very beautiful word which refers to the form of Bhagavan. See, very many times we have seen, this I have told right at the beginning, Bhagavan is described in so many ways. Here, some of the namas indicates the beautiful form of Bhagavan. Nabhi here also indicates the beauty of Bhagavan, and Nabhi indicates the central point of everything, and everything is centered around Bhagavan. So Bhagavan is the main central point of all Jiva Rashis. Padmanabha. Hridaya Padmasya Nabhau Madhye Prakashanatva Padmanabha. Hridaya Padmasya. In the lotus of the heart, the Nabhi is the Madhya aspect of our heart, and in that inner heart, again, if we can again recollect, Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahmam Prakashanat, because that Parabrahma Swarupa is within the central point of our heart, and heart means we normally show our pumping heart, but it is again a figurative expression. Heart is everywhere, and therefore he is the supreme, and therefore he is called as Padmanabha, lotus of the heart. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha, says Bhagavan in the Bhagavad Gita. Sarvasya, in everything, aham hridi sannivishtaha, I alone exist in every heart. Alright, so Bhagavan is very much in the heart. People may say, what a heartless person. This heartless person is with reference to the Laukika Jivana. But Bhagavan is definitely there in the heart. The heart is able to function because of the presence of the Bhagavan. Think, the Bhagavan immediately when he decides, now this is no need to function anymore, that moment people will collapse. Think, he alone is. Prajapatihi, another beautiful nama. Now I will not keep telling about this other number which you can see here. Prajapati also comes in the 69th, which we have already seen. Prajanam Patihi Prajapatihi. And another word is given, Acharya gives, Pita. Pita meaning what? The father who has created the whole Praja. Alright. Father only creates the children. This whole universe is his children only. Therefore, Prajapatihi, the whole creator. Now here creator means Brahma, and here it is Ishvara Swarupa who has created everything. Prajanam Patihi. Not only human beings but all the creatures also. With that, the 21st shloka ends. We will take up this 22nd shloka. We will chant the shloka now and we will take it up for discussion tomorrow. Amrityus sarvadrik simhas sandhata sandhiman sthirah ajo durmarshana shasta vishrutatma surariha. Amrityus sarvadrik simhas sandhata sandhiman sthirah ajo durmarshana shasta vishrutatma surariha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.